Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive. Today, we're cracking open Tony Robbins' Money, Master the Game.
Yeah, this one's a classic.
It is. And you know, we've got excerpts covering like everything. We're talking the psychology of wealth, investment strategies.
Yeah. The good stuff.
The good stuff, right. Like how billionaires think about money. We're going to break it all down for you so you can master your own money game.
That's the goal, isn't it? I mean, who doesn't want a little bit more financial freedom, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things that really hit me right off the bat was just how much the whole retirement thing has changed. Like, remember pensions? You know, the ones our grandparents had?
Yeah, those seem like a distant memory now. Robbins talks about this. You know how we've moved to this 401k system.
Right.
And honestly, it puts so much more responsibility on us as individuals.
Yeah, and it's not always easy to figure out. I mean, Robbins mentions a study where 75% of Americans think their assets are going to disappear before they die. Yikes.
That's a scary thought.
It is a scary thought.
It really makes you realize we got to understand this stuff. I mean, 401ks, they're not just set it and forget it, right? There are these pitfalls.
Yeah.
Like high fees that can just eat away at your savings.
Yeah.
Like we're talking decades worth of hard-earned money could just vanish.
Okay. I'm all ears now. This is serious.
Yeah, you got to pay attention.
I know. But before we even jump into all the investing stuff, Robbins goes deeper.
Yeah.
Into like the psychology of wealth.
That's the foundation.
Yeah, he talks about these 6 human needs and how they impact like all our money decisions.
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? Because it gets down to like why we do the things we do with money.
Yes.
Like you take the need for significance.
Yeah.
You know, that wanting to feel important. It can actually show up in good ways and bad ways when it comes to our finances.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like someone might just spend a ton of money just to impress people.
Oh, so true. Trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
While someone else, they might find that significance in giving back, you know, making a real difference.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it really comes back to figuring out what drives you.
Yeah.
Like, what are your values?
What are your needs? How does that impact your financial choices?
Absolutely. Now, Robbins also calls out some of the kind of the myths floating around in the financial world. One that really stood out to me, he calls it myth 3. Our returns, what you see is what you get.
Ooh. Yeah, this is where things get juicy.
I know, right?
He tells this story about this economist, Robert Hilton Smith,
Okay.
who went through his mutual fund statements with a fine-tooth comb. And what he found was crazy. 17 hidden fees.
17. Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. This wasn't just some, like, theory. These fees were eating into his returns big time.
Okay, so it's not just about picking the right investments then. It's about understanding the fine print, too. What can people actually do, like practically, to avoid these fees?
You know, that's where understanding all the different types of fees comes in. Like transaction costs. Those can be really sneaky and hard to track, but they add up.
They do.
Yeah, it's so important to know what you're paying for. Don't be afraid to ask questions, right? Demand transparency and shop around. Find some lower cost options.
I love that. Don't just assume you're getting the full story. Now, switching gears a little bit, Robbins also talks about compounding and how starting early, like that is key.
He uses this great story about 2 brothers.
Okay.
One starts investing young, the other waits. And the brother who started earlier ends up way wealthier, even though he put in less money overall.
That's the power of compounding, right?
It's magic.
Yeah.
Even small amounts, if you invest consistently over time, it can grow like crazy.
Time is money.
It really is. The sooner you start, the better. But, and this is important, it's never too late. You know, the key is just to start somewhere.
I like that. It's encouraging.
Yeah?
Okay, let's get to the fun stuff.
Let's do it.
Robbins spills the secrets on like alternative investments, the kind that super wealthy people use.
He calls it investing, like the 0.001%. You know, one thing he talks about, market-linked CDs. They have the potential for better returns than your typical CDs, but without risking your principal.
Oh, the best of both worlds.
It is.
So you're getting in on the market growth, but with a little safety net.
Exactly.
I like that. Now, he also mentions this guy, J. Kyle Bass, who did something pretty wild. He bought nickels, like just regular nickels,
Yeah.
for their melt value.
It's brilliant, right? He realized at the time the metal in a nickel was actually worth more than the face value.
Wow. So he basically found a way to profit from a market inefficiency. That's thinking outside the box.
It is. Sometimes it pays to be a little unconventional.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the rich man's Roth,
The PPLI.
the PPLI.
This gets a lot of hype, but it's not just for the super rich, right?
Yeah, right.
Anyone can use this. to potentially benefit from tax-free growth.
So worth looking into. Now, before we get too excited about chasing those high returns, Robbins brings us back down to earth by reminding us about asset allocation, diversification, managing risk.
He talked about Ray Dalio's all-weather portfolio, which is designed to, do well in any economy.
Oh, interesting. So, how does that work?
So Dalio, he compares the economy to the four seasons, right?
Oh.
And just like you wouldn't wear a swimsuit in winter, you don't want your portfolio caught off guard when the market takes a dip.
So you're saying it's about building a portfolio that can weather any storm.
Exactly. He breaks down assets into these four categories. You've got stocks, bonds, gold, and commodities. And the idea is to mix them so that something's always doing well no matter what's happening.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
So it's a balanced approach. Now, speaking of strategy, Robbins also talks about creating a lifetime income plan. It's not just about saving up a bunch of money, is it?
No. You need to be able to actually generate income from your investments. He explains these guaranteed lifetime income annuities, which can provide a paycheck for life. Even when the market crashes, it's like your own personal pension.
Oh, that does sound appealing, especially as you get closer to retirement. But it's not all about, specific strategies, right? Robbins highlights these 3 keys to achieving any goal, financial or not: your state, your story, and your strategy.
Yeah, he makes this really great point about how your state, your mindset, your emotions, they play a huge role in your success.
Oh, totally, yeah. If you're constantly stressed about money or feeling defeated, it's going to be tough to take action to make progress.
Exactly. And then there's your story, the narrative you're telling yourself about money. If you believe you're bad with money or that wealth is only for other people, that can become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
So you have to kind of rewrite that story.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, there's the strategy, those specific actions you take to reach your financial goals.
So it's about getting those 3 things aligned: your state, your story, and your strategy to really set yourself up for success. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into money. Master the game. We talked about retirement, the psychology of wealth, busting those financial myths, and even got a glimpse into what the ultra wealthy are doing. What's coming up in part 2?
In part 2, we're going to dig deeper into some of Robbins' specific tactics, like how to be an insider in the financial world, how to optimize your 401k and Roth IRA.
Okay.
And even explore some more, I guess you could say, advanced strategies like the PPLI and cash balance plans.
Ooh, I can't wait. See you in part 2.
See you there. So welcome back to our deep dive into money, master the game. One thing that really stuck with me was Robbins' advice to become like an insider in the financial world.
Right. Learn the secret handshake so you don't get taken advantage of.
Exactly. And a big part of that is understanding not everyone in the financial industry has to put your interests first.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about this difference between brokers and fiduciaries.
Okay, help me out here. I hear those terms, but honestly, I'm not always sure what they actually mean.
Okay, so think of a broker like a salesperson in a department store. They might try to steer you towards a certain brand, even if it's not the best fit for you, because they get a commission.
Okay, yeah, I get that. So what about a fiduciary?
A fiduciary is legally obligated to put your interests first. It's like having a financial advisor who's really on your team. They have to act in your best interest.
Okay, so how can I tell if I'm dealing with a fiduciary? Are there any, red flags to watch out for?
Well, Robbins suggests looking for an independent registered investment advisor, an RIA. They're held to a higher standard and required to put your interests first. You can also just ask your advisor directly, are you a fiduciary? How are you compensated?
Good point. Now let's talk about something that a lot of people use, 401k. Robbins has some pretty strong opinions about how they're managed. What are some of the things he warns about?
One of the biggest things is just high fees. A lot of 401k plans are loaded with hidden fees that could really chip away at your savings over time.
So what can you actually do about that? Aren't you kind of stuck with whatever your employer offers?
Not necessarily. Robbins says that employees should, stand up for themselves and their coworkers. Talk to your employer about offering low-cost index funds as part of the 401k plan. And if you're a business owner, you actually have a legal responsibility to benchmark your 401k plan every year. Make sure you're providing the most cost-effective options.
Got it. So be proactive, speak up. Now, on the other side, there's the Roth IRA, which Robbins seems to really like. Can you break down how that works?
Sure. With a Roth IRA, you're contributing after-tax dollars. Now, that might not sound great at first, but here's the beauty of it. your money grows tax-free. And then when you withdraw it in retirement, you don't owe any taxes.
So you pay the taxes up front, but then in retirement, you're good to go. I can see why that would be appealing, especially if you think you'll be in a higher tax bracket later on.
Exactly. And Robbins is really passionate about, especially young people, maxing out those Roth IRA contributions as early as possible.
Why the focus on young people?
Time is on their side.
Yeah.
The earlier they start, the more time that money has to grow tax-free. And that can make a huge difference.
It's like planting a tree. The sooner you plant it, the bigger it's going to grow. Now, what about people who have already maxed out their 401k and their Roth IRA? Are there other options for them to save?
Absolutely. Robbins has some great advice for small business owners. He talks about cash balance plans as a way to, significantly reduce taxes and really boost those retirement savings.
So there are ways to get creative and really max out your savings even beyond those traditional accounts. You don't have to settle.
You don't.
Now, what about target date funds? Aren't those supposed to make retirement planning easier?
Well, Robbins is not a huge fan. He calls them one-size-fits-all solutions that often come with high fees, and they might not be the best for your individual needs.
So it's like buying a suit off the rack instead of having one tailor-made.
Perfect analogy. He says you should take a more personalized approach to how you allocate your assets, considering your goals, how much risk you're comfortable with, and your time horizon. You're the architect of your financial future.
Got it. So no cookie cutter solutions. Now let's talk about generating income from investments. Robbins mentions annuities, but I feel like they have a kind of a mixed reputation.
Yeah, for sure. Some annuities are full of hidden fees and costs. Robbins definitely warns about those. But he also talks about how certain types of annuities can give you a guaranteed income stream for life.
So it's about being selective, understanding the different types.
Exactly. Not all annuities are created equal. He tells a really interesting story about Dr. David Babel, who used a series of guaranteed income annuities to create a rock-solid retirement income, no matter what the market did.
Wow, so it's like having your own personal pension, completely separate from the ups and downs of the market.
It is. It gives you peace of mind knowing you'll have that steady income. Now, speaking of strategies that wealthy people use, Robbins also dives into private placement life insurance, PPLI.
PPLI. I've heard that term, but to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it is.
Okay, so it's basically a life insurance policy with a cash value part that you can invest in different things. And the advantage, tax-free growth.
Yeah.
Your investments grow tax-deferred, and then you can withdraw that money tax-free in retirement.
Okay, that sounds amazing. So it's like a supercharged Roth IRA.
You could say that. Robbins points out that PPLI isn't just for the super rich. It can be a really good tool for anyone who wants to save on taxes and build wealth faster.
PPLI, definitely adding that to my research list.
You know, one thing I really appreciate about Money, Master the Game, is that Robbins doesn't just give you his own opinion. He brings in all these other super successful investors.
It's like you're at a mastermind event with financial legends. He interviews people like Carl Icahn, Ray Dalio, Paul Tudor Jones, Jack Bogle. Wow, that's a serious lineup. What are some of the key takeaways from those interviews?
Well, one thing they all talk about is how important it is to think for yourself, do your own research, and don't just follow the crowd blindly.
Don't just take someone's word for it, even if they are a billionaire. You've got to form your own opinions.
Exactly. And a lot of them emphasize having a long-term mindset. Don't get scared by what the market does in the short term. They're in it for the long haul.
It's like a marathon, not a sprint. Pace yourself.
Right. Another big one is risk management. Protecting your money while you're also looking for opportunities to grow it.
So it's finding that sweet spot, right, between playing it safe and taking some calculated risks. Now, what about Warren Buffett? What wisdom did he have to share?
This might surprise you. Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, he actually recommends that most people invest in low-cost index funds.
Really? That's kind of unexpected from someone who's known for picking individual stocks.
Yeah, but, he recognizes that for most people, trying to beat the market is almost impossible. It's better to just ride the waves of the market as a whole.
So even the best investors recognize that simplicity and discipline are super powerful. Now, what about giving back? Did these guys talk about philanthropy at all?
Absolutely. Many of them have their own foundations or support causes they care about. They see wealth as a way to make a difference, not just to live a fancy lifestyle.
It's a good reminder that real wealth isn't just about money. It's about making an impact and leaving a legacy. Now, Robbins wraps up the book talking about the future of wealth creation, and he's actually pretty optimistic about it. He talks about all the opportunities technology is creating.
Yeah, he sees technology as this force for abundance. Like think about 3D printing. Anyone with a computer and a printer can make physical products.
It's like having your own mini factory at home. Super cool. What else?
He also talks about the sharing economy, where people can use their assets, like their cars or their homes, to make extra money. It's about thinking outside that traditional 9-to-5 job.
Wow, so many possibilities. He paints a pretty exciting picture of the future.
He does. But along with all the cool technology, he also emphasizes having a mindset of gratitude and abundance. He believes that when you focus on what you have, you attract more good things.
It's about shifting your perspective from scarcity to possibility.
Right. And he talks about aligning your spending with your values, being mindful of where your money goes, and making sure it brings you joy.
Make sure your money is working for you, not the other way around. It's not just about making money, it's about living a life that's rich in every way.
Exactly. And in part 3, we'll explore how Robbins brings all of this together with practical steps you can take to master your own money game.
I can't wait. See you in part 3.
Welcome back to part 3. It's really interesting how much of what we've been talking about with money, master the game, isn't just about specific tactics. It's a lot about mindset, right?
Definitely. Robbins emphasizes this idea of your money blueprint. Like, that's where it all starts.
Money blueprint. Okay, fill me in.
Yeah.
What's that all about? It's basically all the beliefs and habits you have around money. A lot of times, we don't even realize we have them. Like maybe you grew up thinking money is scarce or rich people are bad. That can really mess with your financial journey.
It's like having this hidden script running in the background, influencing all your decisions. So how do you rewrite that script?
Robbins says you got to actively challenge those beliefs that are holding you back and replace them with better ones, with positive ones.
Yeah, easier said than done sometimes. What are some practical ways to actually do that?
It's a visualization, like really picturing yourself achieving those goals, and affirmations, saying positive things to yourself about money, and even modeling yourself after people who are already successful with money. They did it, so can you.
So it's about rewiring your brain to think about money in a more positive and abundant way.
Exactly.
Now, what about having a concrete plan? Is that important too?
Absolutely. Robbins actually gives you a step-by-step process for making a personalized plan. One that fits your income, your expenses, your goals. It's all about getting really clear on where you are now and where you want to go.
So no more just burying your head in the sand and hoping for the best. It's about taking control.
Yeah.
Now, what about budgeting? Ugh, I know that word makes some people cringe.
Robbins doesn't present it as this restrictive thing.
Yeah.
He says it's actually a tool for freedom. You're making conscious decisions about where your money goes, so it aligns with what's important to you.
Okay, so it's not about deprivation, it's more about being intentional. I like that. Now, what about saving and investing consistently? That can be a struggle for a lot of people. What's Robbins' advice on that?
Automate it. Set up those automatic transfers, from your checking account to your savings and investments. That way it just happens without you even thinking about it.
It's like putting your finances on autopilot. Love it. But it's not all about spreadsheets and numbers, is it? Robbins also talks about living a well-rounded life, a fulfilling life.
He believes true wealth goes beyond just money. It's about having the freedom and the resources to live the way you want.
Yeah.
Taking care of your health, being with people you love, following your passions.
Yes, having the time and the energy to do those things that light you up, to make a difference in the world. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. And when you find that balance between being financially secure and feeling fulfilled, that's when you really master the game.
So well said. Okay, we've reached the end of our deep dive into money. Master the game. Hopefully you're feeling inspired, ready to take charge of your financial future.
Remember, financial freedom, it's a journey. It takes time, it takes effort, and a willingness to keep learning and growing.
And as Robbins says, the most important step is the next one. So what will you do today to get closer to your financial goals?
Keep learning, keep growing, and never give up on your dreams.
That's all for our deep dive. Hope you found it helpful. We'll see you next time. Keep seeking out that knowledge. Stay curious.